Welcome to 10 Minutes USA. I'm Chuck. Let's get started. Well, GM reverses course. I knew this was going to happen. They were all in on electric. And I knew as a mechanic, worked on vehicles most of my life, this was not going to work. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the way to charge them. It's a big joke. And I got nothing against electric cars. But how do you make it work when you have all these other problems? And now the battery problem. I don't even have to go there. The things are burning up, blowing up. But Mary Barra, CEO of GM. She finally seen the light, I guess. But after how many billions, tens of billions of dollars did they waste? It's crazy. It's insanity. I don't get it. Ford's reversing course. Now GM just announced they're going to go back to building hybrids. They had a great hybrid, the Chevy Volt. Been in production for quite a while. I've drove a few of them. I never owned one, but it was a great car. Plug-in hybrid. Very few problems with it. Most people that had them loved them. And the cars lasted a long time. You can see them on the used market. Some of them, well over 200,000 miles, still running fine. And they pulled the plug on that a few years ago. And my question is, did they destroy all the molds and everything for the car and all the tooling, and now they have to start over? I don't know. It's a good question, but I don't know what this woman is doing. I have nothing against her. I looked into her background. She's the same age as me. She's 62. She spent her whole life, from 18 years old, her first job was at GM, inspecting cars or panels or something. And she worked her way up, and she went to school, and she now is CEO, first woman CEO of a major car company in the U.S. And that's great. But I think her vision's wrong. Her vision is she wants cars that are 100% safe, never crash. That's an impossibility. Things happen, and it's going to happen. Cars are a lot safer today than they were years ago. I agree. And it seems like they come up with better and better safety equipment on vehicles. But you're never going to make it foolproof. Not when you have the human factor involved. That's like self-driving cars. I've said this since day one, when Tesla they're pushing this with the self-driving car. There's only one way that self-driving cars is going to work. All cars have to be self-driving or no self-driving. Because when you can't mix self-driving cars with human drivers. A machine that is programmed and has sensors and everything to do the right thing is going to do it. But when you factor in the human factor, that is unpredictable, anything happens. And you'd have people that go out of their way and smash into self-driving cars just to be assholes. I mean, that's human nature. So it'll never work. You're never going to have the two. It's pie in the sky baloney. It won't work. But getting back to GM, I'm glad they've seen the light. But like I said, how many jobs are going to be lost? How many billions, tens of billions were wasted on this dream about going all electric, and now they're reversing course. It was just announced. And they had the Chevy Volt. Do they still have all the tooling to keep making that, to put that car back into production in a few months? I hope they do. And if they do, bring the price down a little. People will buy them, That was a good concept. It's just like GM had the first so-called practical electric car, the Impact, years ago. And it was a nice little car. Everybody, you couldn't buy one, you could lease them. And the people that did lease them, they loved them. The only thing, it was a lead acid battery system, so it was limited. But they 60 to 80 mile range, that was about it. But for zipping around town, they were great. And, you know, they had that, and then I forget what year it was. I think it was in the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. They pulled the plug on it. They went and got every car, and they destroyed them all. Everything. And they didn't say why. There's only one known to exist. I think it's in a museum somewhere. That's it. They're all gone. The hybrids are great. I owned one. I had an early model Honda Insight. The wife didn't like it much. She says it's a little baby car because it was a little two-seater, and it was a small car. But I had zero problems with it. The only main thing I had to change one time on it was the 12-volt battery. The drive battery was not lithium. The drive battery was not very big, but it was because I opened up the back there. They had special connectors or fasteners. They didn't want you back there. But I, as a mechanic, I said, I'm going to see what makes this thing work. And the battery was yay big. And what it was flashlight-sized cells, nickel metal hydride, in tubes, and two plastic end caps that held it all together. And it was like 120 or 140 volt, I forget, system. And then it had another big box with electronics, and then another box like it looked like it was the speed control because it had fans on it to keep it cool. But it worked, and it worked well. The car averaged 49, 50 miles per gallon. One time on a trip, I got 75 miles per gallon the whole time, and I think I must have been going downhill with a tailwind, and it never did it again. It was only one time. It was a trip from here to Tampa. And matter of fact, coming home, it didn't get 75 miles per gallon, the same exact route. So I don't know. Maybe it's slightly downhill from Orlando to Tampa, and it had a good tailwind. Whatever. But yeah, General Motors. I hope GM and Mary, if you're listening, this is what people want. They want cool-looking cars for a fair price. And they don't want most people don't want all these gizmos and gadgets they're putting in cars today. It's not necessary because they hold the gizmo and gadget in their hand. It's their phone. We don't need all that other crap. Just give us good styled cars like me and my father have talked about for years. If they made cars styled like the old cars with newer materials, I mean, it's been proven. Look at Chrysler. Chrysler's got the Challenger. It pretty much looks like a 70 Challenger, with newer material, and it's a big seller. Well, it would be a bigger seller if the V8 powered version was cheaper. 50,000 plus for this car is insanity. But imagine if GM made, like my father, he said, like a 57 Chevy with a new drivetrain. And it got decent mileage. Hell, make it a hybrid. Bring a 57 Chevy style car, fins and all, but with lighter materials, hybrid powered, V8. You gotta have the V8 sound. Forget the 4s and the 6. Small V8, turboed or whatever you want to do, where the car would get 28 to 35 miles per gallon. There'd be a waiting list. People would line up to buy something like that. And a lot, because GM did make some beautiful bodies back in the day. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they made some really nice looking cars. But that's what people want, and they want rear wheel drive. That's why trucks and SUVs are big sellers. They don't want front wheel drive. They don't want little cracker boxes. They want medium to good sized cars that are safe and get decent mileage, but look good. Look well. Excuse me. Anyway, I wish all the luck to Mary Barra and General Motors because they do employ a lot of people in this country, well, around the world. It's a big company. I used to work on a lot of their stuff. And one other thing, General Motors is always, this is from a mechanic, I don't know about today, but back when I was mechanicing, they always had the best factory repair manuals, bar none. Always. You could figure out they were the best. Period. But anyway, time's up. I gotta go. See you in the next one.